Alright, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, we are going to be recapping everything that you might have missed or did miss for week 13. Now, there was a lot of juicy games this week, and honestly, I had a blast. Obviously, starting off on Thursday with the Thanksgiving games, ending with a pretty wild Monday night game that I really wasn't expecting. But anyway, if there's a game that you thought, man, I don't want to watch that, I don't care what happens, but something crazy happened, this is what you come here for. Also, we just talk about the games that have interesting discussions to them. Anyway, let's get things started. Thursday night, first game. Shouldn't say Thursday night, Thursday morning. Bears-Lions. That one was, yeah. I mean, the headlines were everywhere. Matt Eberflus, Caleb Williams, poor game clock management. It was just a blunder considering that they were making such a phenomenal run. Caleb Williams starting off really rough, but then second half, they splurge 20 points. 20 freaking points in that second half against a pretty good Lions team. All in all, I was impressed with Caleb Williams, but Matt Eberflus does get fired for his blunder. And the Lions, second half meltdown for sure, but a win is a win. Gotta be happy when you can get them. Following that Thursday game in the morning, we had Giants and Cowboys. Cowboys are fighting for their playoff lives. Now, if you ask me, I think they're well out of it, but at the very least, they have won 2 in a row. Defense has come a bit more alive. Giants look terrible. But I will say, if the Cowboys do want to make a run, it is virtually impossible if CeeDee Lamb is not healthy. What I mean by that is, well, he's playing hurt. And you have a chance to win some games even if he's playing hurt. But if he's outright just inactive for these games, it is over. The Cowboys offense greatly relies on him, even if it's just a 5-yard, 7-yard gain. Does not matter. You need him. You need the defenses to be wary of him because it helps your offense open things up a bit more, especially with the way Rico Dowdle has been running the ball a bit more lately. Very solid output from him. So if the Cowboys want to make a run, CeeDee Lamb has to be healthy. He did miss the last 2 quarters, or at the least a quarter and a half of that game. But anyway, big win for them if they want to stay alive. They move to 5-7. Packers and Dolphins. You know, Dolphins started off rough with this one with the muff punt. Packers definitely execute at a really high level with their offense. Josh Jacobs has come alive. You know, not a great rushing attack for this one. 19 carries and only 43 yards. But his consistency in making defenders miss and getting in the end zone has greatly helped his Packers team. Tua Tagovailoa really needs to step up in these games upcoming because they're 5-7. I don't even think they can afford another loss. They really might just have to win out. We'll see what happens with the Dolphins and Packers. Raiders and Chiefs. This was a Black Friday game, and I'm not going to lie. The Raiders play their asses off, but the Chiefs, man, time and time again, they win in one possession games, and it is just not sustainable. I was talking to my brother about this, but I basically just said, you know what? As bad as the Chiefs have been playing, you know, they're still 11-1 and whatnot. Or is it 12-1 now? It's 11-1. But as bad as they've been playing, and, you know, playing down to a lot of teams, it is very Patrick Mahomes-like for them to just turn up in the playoffs and for Patrick Mahomes to just play outright winning football. I mean, even now, 11-1, they are playing winning football. It's just not, it's not pretty. It's ugly football at times for the Chiefs, and they consistently play down their opponents. And like I said, it's not pretty, but it's just like Patrick Mahomes to just turn up when he needs to for his team. 11-1 for the Chiefs. I do not think this is sustainable moving forward. If they want to, you know, continue to win like this, it's just not realistic, but we'll see. With the Chiefs, it feels like they have plot armor. Texans and Jaguars. One thing I will say is everyone saw the dirty hit on Trevor Lawrence. That linebacker, Al-Shahir, I think is his last name, definitely deserves a suspension. But outside from that, just from a competitive standpoint from this Texans team, it's just inexcusable how bad they've been. You should not be in a close game with the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially after Trevor Lawrence got hurt. There is no excuse for it. And honestly, it is bad from the Houston Texans for them to be struggling this much and for them to be even getting in close games like this. They're definitely a contender to lose the first round. I know that's not a term or a phrase you hear often, but they seem like a team that's going to lose in the first round of the playoffs for sure. The Colts are in the division. Colts aren't doing the best. They're still in the hunt technically at 6-7, but they're not going to take the division realistically from the Texans. Texans even have the tiebreaker against them. But man, Texans have been playing some ugly football. Chargers and Falcons. Falcons, Kirk Cousins. I mean, you just can't throw 4 interceptions. You just can't do it. Chargers defense continuously has proven time and time again that they are legit. They are making the big plays. They are being consistent in everything that they do game in and game out. You got to just tip your hat and say, man, what they're doing over there in LA is pretty special. Offensively, they lack a lot of weapons, which makes me believe that they won't last in the playoffs. Maybe they'll get a playoff win at the most, but defensively, man, that team is legit. Seahawks and Jets, 26-21. At this point, the Jets just suck. There's really not a lot to talk about here. The Jets just suck. Aaron Rodgers is, at this point in his career, washed. Made a video back in week 9 of teams that can turn around their season. It's too late for the Jets, obviously, and Aaron Rodgers is cooked. He just does not look good out there, missing throws time and time again. Titans and Commanders. Everyone's been pretty worried about Jaden Daniels a little bit lately. This one, 25 for 30, going back to his roots of just taking what's there, being an accurate quarterback, 3 touchdowns. You got to be happy about this game if you're the Commanders, especially with Brian Robinson getting 103 yards. Got to be happy with this one if you're the Commanders. You move to 8-5. Steelers and Bengals. This one was a surprise shootout. Now, we know how bad the Bengals defense is. This is no surprise that the Steelers put up points. We know how great both the Bengals offense and the Steelers defense is, but 38 points is a lot. That is a lot, and the Bengals defense is absolutely destroying this team. You put up 99 points in the span of 3 weeks and you lose all 3 games is just a complete disaster. If you're the Bengals, obviously the biggest frustration is what goes on from here. You're only going to lose T. Higgins. You obviously have to pay Jamar Chase a shit ton of money. I think the coaching staff needs to be let go of because, don't get me wrong, do they have the pieces to be a really good defense? No. But to be this historically bad, it goes more than just the players. It's obviously coaching related as well. So the Bengals need a complete overhaul. Their season is most likely over since they're now 4-8. Steelers, though, 9-3. Then, like I said, Russ did cook. Over 400 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. The 1 pick he threw, it was a missed defensive pass interference. Beautiful game from Russell Wilson. Cardinals, Vikings. Now, Vikings, as good as their record indicates, 10-2. This isn't a team to me that's going to do a lot of damage in the playoffs because they play down to teams way too often. It is not sustainable for these teams to be making some incredible run in the playoffs when they play down to teams constantly. You need to be consistent as possible. And the Vikings are not that at all. Yes, they're 10-2, but they play down to teams way too much. And 22-23, rough game for Kyler Murray. Threw a pick when he needed his team to have a field goal. It's just tough stuff out there. Rams and Saints. I mean, the Rams are in the playoff hunt. We haven't really talked about them much, but they're very much alive. They're 6-6 when the leaders of that division are the Seahawks at 7-6. I'm impressed, I'm impressed with the Rams keeping things afloat. They were 1-4 to start, and you get Puka Nacua back, you get Cooper Kupp back, and they're able to do some damage. Matthew Stafford is still a reliable quarterback. Isn't having the most flashiest numbers of games, but a consistent and solid effort from him to put this team in a position to be 6-6. Their defense has stepped up a bit more. In terms of the Saints, they lose Taysom Hill out for the season. It's not like they were going to do any damage anyway. Their season's basically over, but still sucks to see that. Buccaneers and Panthers. Bryce Young has been significantly better as of late. This dude is making all the right throws. He's taking his time in the pocket to not force things, but make the right progressions. 1, 2, 3. Okay, no one's here. Let me scramble. Oh, okay. On a scramble drill, let me find someone open if I don't have the yards to gain on the run. He has been so much more steady, and you can see that after the benching that he received early in the season, he really has been learning. If you're a Panthers fan, you take this loss with a little bit of confidence because you're like, you know what? As a team, we didn't win. Chuba Hubbard needs to hold on to the ball, but our quarterback is showing some real signs of improvement, and you can appreciate that. Also, it does help your spot in the NFL draft when you know you're not going to compete anyway. Buccaneers, though, take a massive W to move to 6-6, tied in terms of record with the Falcons. Moving on to the Eagles and Ravens. This was giant versus giant in terms of how the NFL world views these teams, how good these teams really are. And oh my gosh, did this game not disappoint. We had a very competitive game. If you ask me, Justin Tucker is absolutely just destroying the Baltimore Ravens. Time after time after time, he's missing field goals and extra points. Justin Tucker is actually just hurting this team now. It might be time for them to let him go. I don't know if they necessarily will, but it is hurting them. On the flip side, though, Jalen Hurts didn't need to do much. Just needed to make the right plays. Saquon Barkley, 23 carries, 107 yards against the number one defense in terms of the run game and the Ravens. And wow, do again what you have to do. Also, 9 carries, 29 yards for Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown leading the way in terms of receiving, 5 carries, 66 yards. But all in all, you have to be absolutely happy that this Eagles team held the Ravens to 19 points. Now, I know we talked about Justin Tucker missing some kicks, so they could have had more. Realistically, this game could have easily gone to overtime if Justin Tucker just did his job. At the very least, if you're the Eagles defense, you really had to make the Ravens offense fight for every yard. And that is something you take to the bank and you deposit it and say, hell yes. If the Eagles can be this consistent in which they've been, they are a problem. And honestly, they are arguably the best team in the NFL right now. Honestly, you could say them, you could say the Lions, you could say the Chiefs, you could say the Bills. I don't see how anyone could say the Chiefs, but then again, plot armor. Chiefs have so much plot armor, it's crazy. But the Bills look great. There's a lot of teams that you could say are number one right now, and Eagles have a pretty great argument. 49ers and Bills. 49ers take a huge loss, going down from 5-7. Their season is not over, but it is looking really dim. Really dim, especially since Christian McCaffrey is probably out with a PCL injury for the rest of the season. It's just really tough, really gut-wrenching for this team, especially when if they win this game, they're 6-6. You know what I mean? They're tied, or they're almost tied with the Seahawks. Seahawks would be 7-6 in the division. They have a legit chance. But now you move 2 games back. It's still doable, but it's just tough. And Buffalo Bills just look so freaking good right now. They are very much in sync. The run game, Josh Allen. You know, I know they don't have a true number one receiver, even after trading for Amari Cooper, but Josh Allen is just making it work. He is just making it work. Khalil Shakir definitely has stepped up this season. Again, not a true receiver one, but definitely a receiver a lot of people would be happy to have. And then we have your Monday night game, Browns and Broncos. I got to give credit to where credit's due. This Browns team has just been fighting. You know, Deshaun Watson goes down, and that was like the turnaround to their season. The record is still not great, but they have legitimately been fighting with every team that they go up against. Jameis Winston, 497 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. But if you guys have been watching Jameis Winston for a long time, you know that when he does good, he always has some sort of baggage with him, and that baggage was 2 pick sixes, 3 total interceptions. That last interception didn't matter too much, but the pick sixes definitely were gut-wrenching, and it's not like they were throws that weren't his fault. Like, no, he just made 2 huge errors. And again, you get the good of him and the bad of him, but Jerry Jeudy absolutely having a freaking career night. 9 catches, 235 receiving yards, and a touchdown. And the crazy part is he could have had so much more if Jameis Winston just connected on some of these throws. And there was a play in the, I want to say mid first quarter or early second quarter, Jameis Winston completely missed Jerry Jeudy for what easily could have been a house call considering how fast Jerry Jeudy is. This guy could have potentially had 300 plus receiving yards. Honestly, no BS. That could have happened because the Broncos defense was getting burned. They were getting burned on a lot of these big plays. I mean, you see 497 passing yards, and of course they did. But on the flip side, Jaleel McLaughlin adding some life to that run game for the Broncos. 14 carries, 84 yards. Looked pretty solid. Bo Nix having a pretty big throw to Marvin Mims for a 93-yard touchdown. But other than that, missing some throws. 18 for 35 all in all. Just got to clean some stuff up for sure. Definitely didn't play bad, just didn't play good if you ask me. And again, 18 for 35 leaves a lot to be desired in terms of accuracy, but a win is a win, and not just any kind of win. 32-41, a high scoring game, very high scoring. Broncos are 8-5. Now they're not contenders, but they're a team that, with this defense, what they're capable of doing, they could win a playoff game depending on who they go against. But anyway, that is your recap of week 13. We are already 13 weeks done, heading into week 14. We have some amazing football left to be played. Let me know what you guys think. As always, feel free to like and subscribe. It goes a long way to help with the channel. This is Always Been Different. Always Been Different. And we out.